Hey, what's up, guys? If you guys don't know, this is Zeus Kang. I'm the leader of the Zeus Group Hawaii, a real estate team here in Honolulu. And today I wanted to just to have a quick video based on a few important topics that I thought was super important. And you know, we deal with buyers and sellers in this market, you know, every day. And you know, what better information than to provide, you know, something of value to our clients. So today I'm going to be going over the topic of how to pick the right real estate agent. There are quite literally thousands of real estate agents here in Honolulu, and I'm sure in your particular marketplace there are hundreds, if not thousands, of licensed realtors. And so, you know, in the sea of qualified and licensed agents, how do you pick the right one? Where do you go? You know, it often becomes such a daunting task. You know, let alone having to, you know, to deal with the fact that you now have to buy or sell property. That could be pretty intimidating in and of itself. So when you're looking to buy or sell real estate and you're looking for a real estate professional, what do you do? So as a licensed professional, I'm going to kind of walk you through the questions that most people don't ask, or the process that they don't do in order to look for a qualified candidate. Now, you know, in life, you know, we need special services. We have doctors and mechanics and, you know, I mean, whatever, right? So when you're looking for these professionals, you have a need. And when you have these needs, you know, oftentimes we're very, very picky about, you know, who we work with. You know, if you have a crappy mechanic, he's going to mess up your car. You're going to be out thousands of dollars. If you have some sort of health problems, you're going to have to find the right doctor that's specific to whatever problem you have. You can't just go to a generalist, for example. So, you know, in life, you know, in these decisions we have to make as adults, you know, we go through the process of interviewing. You know, we interview for doctors, we interview for mechanics, we interview for employees. So why is it that real estate is so different? I think they said something like 67% of people looking to buy or sell who end up hiring a realtor, you know, to represent them, only interview or talk to one person. I mean, it's an astronomical, it's a scary number to think that people are, you know, investing their time and their money. I mean, real estate is in nearly all cases probably the most expensive asset that anybody will buy or sell. And we do it, you know, most of us once or twice a year, some people more. But I mean, it's not every day that you buy and sell, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of assets. And so it really baffles my mind that people just don't do enough research in selecting someone that is going to represent them through that process. It's a very, very important thing. And people often find out the hard way that, you know, it's this whole process of finding the right person has to be taken a lot more serious. So without further ado, I put together a little list. I am going to be using a little cheat sheet here so that I'm able to touch on all the important points that I'm trying to convey here. So where do you start? So you are either moving into an area, you're downsizing, you're upsizing, whatever. So let's say you're in the need to buy real estate, or you're in a position where you have to sell. You got your home for sale. You're either moving or relocating for work, or, you know, you've got an extra, you know, baby on the way, so you want something bigger. So if you're looking to buy or sell real estate, like, where do you start, right? I mean, that's often the task. So what do most of us do? You know, we either have heard of somebody or we've seen them online. So we either, you know, they say something like over 90% of people that do real estate or that look for real estate professionals go online. You know, a lot of everything we do nowadays is social media based. You know, the Yelps and the Zillows, Google, Facebook, for example, are really famous platforms for that. So what I would recommend is that you ask around. I mean, there's nothing better than, you know, people to people, you know, so people that you know that can give personal testimonies, and word of mouth is probably the best promotion and probably the most accurate representation of what you're going to get. Now, if someone's online, they have a great website, you know, and great videos, you know, that can come off as very impressive, but perhaps, you know, in actuality, they might not be the best candidate for you. So ask around. You know, you might have colleagues or friends or families or neighbors, you know, that have bought and sold before. That's probably going to be your number one resource for finding a good professional to represent you, because if they've worked with someone and they're not happy, they're not going to recommend that person to you. If they are, they're shitty people. But in all likelihood, your friends and family, the people that you trust, the people at work, are not going to, you know, lead you in a bad or harmful direction. So your number one recommendation that I would give is, if you're looking, is to ask around the people that you already know, the people that you already trust. So secondly, when you find those people, let's say, for example, you're at work and someone says, oh, you know, Zeus Kang, for example, you know, I'm not saying I'm the best realtor, but, you know, Zeus Kang represented us. We bought this home. He was fantastic. You know, Zeus Kang represented us in selling our home. He was able to get the property sold in escrow in 6 days when it was on the market before for 6 months. We got top dollar for it, you know, over asking, we got multiple offers. So how do you look me up? Online is definitely something you shouldn't ignore. A lot of information is out there. What I would particularly look for, though, is not just someone's website or Zillow profile. What I would do is go a step further. Now, what you should look for, and this is my personal recommendation, is that you look at recent sales. Now, a lot of people in real estate, just like any other profession, have been in the industry for a long time. You know, if they've been in real estate for 30 years, you know, they may be towards the end of their careers and they might not be as hungry. They might not have the recent transactions that you're looking for. So, you know, they might be burnt out. You know, they might just be doing this as a second job. They might be, you know, a year away from retirement. You just don't know. You don't want that kind of person who's on their way out representing you when you have a need to buy or sell. So look at recent sales. I know our team, this is going to be a little plug, but I know our team, the Zeus Group Hawaii, has 32 recent sales in just the last 12 months. So we do a lot of transactions. We work all over the island. So something like that is what you want to look for. You know, not just with us, but if you find the right person, you know, to be able to see what they've done recently. The second thing is you want to look at their testimonials. Now, testimonials are great. They can be mostly they're in the form of written testimonials like you see on Yelp and Zillow, but they're great because, I mean, these are actual past clients. These are people that they've actually worked with and done the transactions to provide personal testimony on what their experience was. Now, you can go a step further, and what we're starting to implement now are video testimonies. You know, you can really get a sense, you know, they say 70-some-odd% of communication is nonverbal. So video testimonies are powerful because they're not only typing it out, you know, they're saying and they're sharing with you, and you can actually see, you know, as far as you know, they're sharing their experience of what it was like working with that agent. So, lastly but not least, their website. Now, most websites aren't built for driving traffic. You know, they're not the Googles and the Facebooks. But you know, what you should look for in the website is just this. You know, it's the aesthetic appeal. Do they have basically, excuse my language, do they have shit together? If the website looks nice and it's well put together, in all likelihood, then they're going to do as good of a job in creating some sort of organized plan as far as, you know, marketing your property or helping you buy a place. So again, the website in particular doesn't have to be for any functionality purposes. I mean, usually in real estate, everyone has a website and really doesn't do anything other than provide, you know, just some biography and factual information. But it is a pretty fair representation, I think, of how that person or that team operates their business. Now, it's to me, you know, it's a terrible analogy, but you know, if you get into someone's car and there's crap everywhere, you know, their home is probably like that, pretty messy, and their workplace is probably like that. So, you know, we're creatures of habit, you know. So if their car, for example, is very clean, then their workplace is probably gonna be very clean, and their home. It's a reflection of how they operate their business, and that's what I want to point out as far as, you know, looking at their website. So again, those top 2 things, just to recap, when you're starting off, ask around friends, neighbors, colleagues, go online, check out their Zillow profile. I know Zillow is a really big website for real estate. Check out their profile, check out their recent solds, and then check out their testimonies. And then last but not least, check out their personal website, again, just for aesthetic appeal and to see or assess kind of how, you know, they've kind of put together their business. Next big thing is going to be brokerage. Now, every realtor has to have their license held with a certain brokerage, whether that's your locations, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, what have you. You know, you have some of the big names that are international. Check not to see if not only that the brokerage has a global presence, but make sure that that brokerage is reputable and has a good reputation in your particular market. You know, here in Honolulu, there's a lot of brokerages. I think, you know, upwards of 250, maybe even 300 brokerages. They're all not built the same, and the reputation they have here for a particular brokerage may be different than in your particular market. So ask around, call around, ask different brokers, you know, have you worked with this brokerage? What has been your experience? Because here's kind of where it all circles back, right? If you decide to work with a certain brokerage and they have a bad reputation, you're going to be submitting offers, and the listing agent, for example, have had a bad experience. If they did have a bad experience with that certain brokerage, you're at a massive disadvantage. So ask around, make sure that the brokerage has a good reputation. That way, you know, when you're submitting offers, when you're taking offers in, that people are going to want to work with you. So secondly, again, you want to find out who the broker in charge is with. So if you, I don't know if you guys know or not, but if you have, if you're working with a licensed realtor who's not a broker, the transaction is done not with your agent, but with that brokerage's broker in charge. So for example, if you have a Keller Williams, for example, and I'm your agent, you won't see my name on the contract per se, but it'll be my broker in charge. Again, if your broker in charge, the broker in charge that's working with your agent that's representing the brokerage, if they have a bad reputation, then again, you're at a massive disadvantage when you're putting in offers, because the other brokerages might not want to work with you. So do your due diligence, make sure that the brokerage has a reputable reputation in your marketplace, and then secondly, find out and do a little bit of homework as to who the broker in charge is that's going to be signing all the contracts and paperwork. And then last but not least, make sure that they have a global presence, because if you have a luxury property, for example, in all likelihood, the buyer's probably not going to come local. They're going to come from either Canada or at least in Hawaii's marketplace, they're going to be coming from overseas, the West Coast or Canada. So if you don't have a brokerage, if you have a brokerage that's mom and pop, they don't have a global outreach, I mean, the pool of buyers that are potentially going to buy your listing is dramatically reduced. So that global presence is very important. So okay, next our next topic here is going to be how you select, the whole selection process of working with an agent. So don't be afraid of working with a new agent. Now, when I say new agent, I don't mean someone that's recently licensed. I mean working with someone you don't know. Again, the best mechanic in town could be someone you never met. I mean, not always your Uncle Joe, who kind of tinkers on the weekend and that knows how to change the oil. You might, I mean, this is, like I said, this is a very expensive asset that you're looking to either buy or sell, so you should hire and interview, as I mentioned before, the right candidate. So again, don't be afraid to work with a new agent. Again, I don't mean in the sense that they're newly licensed, but in terms of someone that you may not know. I mean, that could be a very good candidate. Just because you don't know them doesn't make them any less qualified. So keep an open mind, keep those possibilities as an option. Secondly, interview. I mean, like I said before, you interview for doctors, you interview for mechanics to see what their record is, you interview for employees, and when you're looking for a job. So real estate should be no different. I gave that the statistics earlier. I think 60 some odd percent or more than that of people who would select a realtor only interview one person. Oftentimes it's someone or someone Susie Joe's neighbor's daughter's got just newly licensed and you want to give her a chance. So I get that, but you should, for the sake of for the benefit of you and your family, I think you owe it to your family to interview again to see if you can find someone that's the most qualified, because it is a very, very important decision and you don't want to find out the hard way. So when you're interviewing, what kind of questions should you ask? Well, some of the questions should be really no different than if you're interviewing for a job, for example. So my number one question, I know it may just right off the top may not seem like it's real estate related, but it's very important, in asking, why are they in real estate? A lot of times, in real estate, a lot of people are what they call commission hungry. They're just transactional. They're looking for that next transaction. So ask them why are they in real estate? Ask them what their why is. Why are they? Why do they choose real estate as a career? Are they just in it for the money, or are they really genuinely interested in helping out, people through difficult times? We would like to, assume that selling or buying and selling real estate is like a happy thing, but oftentimes it's not. Some people may be going through a divorce, and they might have to be relocating, unfortunately, for work. So it's a very kind of sensitive time. So their goals and why they're in the industry and why they're sitting down across the table from you wanting to help has to align with your goals. The next question is, again, what are their life goals? Why are they doing this? It kind of relates back to the first question of why they're in real estate. If they don't have life goals, if they don't know why they're doing what they're doing, then the transaction is going to follow suit. So again, make sure that they're driven, make sure that they have life goals, make sure you know their why. Why are they showing up to work? Why are they wanting to work for you? The third question is, what will you do for me to get this property sold? Now, that may seem like a really generic question, but I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper. The important part of that question is not what will you do for me, but the important part is what will you do for me to get this property sold. Now, every market's different. So if someone is going to employ or initiate the same marketing strategy for every single property that they have, that's not a very good strategy, because especially, here in Honolulu alone, we have different marketplaces. We have, Hawaii Kai, we have Kapolei, we have Kailua, we have Town, Metro Honolulu, we have the West Side. They're all very different marketplaces with very different market trends. And so they have to be conscientious of that. And whatever they do to market has to be in line with whatever's going on in the market. So you don't want to just paint a very broad brush and say, this is what we do. We do the professional photography with the staging, and we do, flyers and online. That's what every realtor does. What you really want to know is what they're going to do specific to your neighborhood, specific to your home, specific to your city. Get as detailed as possible as far as what they're going to do for your particular home. Your home could be separated by by a fence from your neighbor's home, but they could be in two completely separate markets, and so the marketing initiative could be completely different. That's what you have to know. Again, not what they're going to do for you, but what they're going to do to get your particular property sold. It goes the same thing with buyers. If you're buying in a particular market, the offer structure could be entirely different. So the buyer's agent also has to be very conscientious of whichever market that you're looking in to buy a home. The next question is, I'm just kind of looking at my notes here. So yeah, the very important thing to do when you're interviewing is to ask if you're able to contact a broker or an agent that they've worked with before in the past. Now, if they say no, that's a red flag, right? They don't want you talking to the people they've worked with. Real estate agents are the gatekeepers of whether you get that home or not, or whether you sell that property or not. All the documents, all the legal documents are going through them and the broker. If you don't have someone that you could trust, you don't have someone that has a good reputation, your chances of either getting that home that you love, that you finally found after 6 months of looking, or selling your property that you have to get sold because you're relocating, really, really diminishes. So do your homework and ask your agent if it's okay that they contact someone that they've worked with in terms of a broker or an agent. If they're reluctant, there's a red flag. If they're willing, then you should definitely consider them. Going further, you should also ask if it'd be okay if you can call one or a few of their past clients. Now, again, it's to the same point I said before of interviewing or being able to call someone that they've worked with on a real estate professional side, right? If they say no, you can't contact any of my past clients, red flag, right? If they've messed up in the past, or they're unprofessional, or they've had canceled escrows, you're going to be able to find that out. So they don't want you to know that. So again, if they say no to that question, again, red flag, you should move on to a different candidate who's willing and able to provide you the information so that you can have just some references. I keep a list of about any between half a dozen and a dozen former clients that are more than willing to testify on my behalf because of the great experience they've had, and they're willing, fortunate enough, to share that with any future clients that have those reservations. So again, a very, very powerful and important tool. Lastly, last but not least, I say when you're looking for a candidate, it's important to see if they have 4 different things. Okay, I'll go in order. You have to know them, okay? And again, in knowing them, what you're doing, or the way you get to know them is by interviewing. As I mentioned before, interview. So you want to get to know them if you don't know them already. Secondly, you got to like them. I know it sounds super trivial, but if you don't like working with someone, why would you want to work with them? So you got to like them first of all. Thirdly is you got to trust them. And I know, again, 60-some-odd% of communication is nonverbal. We can tell pretty much right off the bat if we like or we trust them, like that. So if you interview them and you don't know, they don't really open up, and you don't feel like you know them too well, you don't like them or you don't trust them, any of those 3, please just interview someone that, again, that you like, that you trust. Now, lastly, it's important, if you do like them, if you do trust them, and you do know them at this point, to hire someone that has a proven track record. Again, not a proven track record of, oh, I've done $100 million over my career, but of recent transactions and their recent experiences. Because again, if they don't have that recent experience, then you're putting yourself, you're selecting someone that's not going to put their best foot forward to do the best job for you. So again, that was a really quick kind of a run through of what you should look for and looking for an agent and a brokerage if you're buying or selling real estate. I've got a ton more that I would love to share with you. I'll probably post that in future videos. But again, if you have any questions regarding this, click the links below. I'll provide some sort of a resource for you to kind of go into to find this, and I'll be posting my list here for you guys to download and take a look at as well. So again, this is Zeus Kang. I hope you guys have a great week, and aloha from Hawaii.